And I haven't washed my hair since, can you tell?
Since Tammy?
Yeah.
That was like a really, really long time ago.
I know, but remember during Miles, I didn't wash my hair. I only washed my hair once.
We're rolling.
Hi, I'm Kyle.
I'm Brooke.
And this is Midlife Mutiny.
I'm really upset.
Why?
It upsets me. It's a really long time.
It's not. So I just got my hair cut for the first time. The back's super cute.
It's very cute, but now filthy.
Well, no. And also the hair's natural oils keep it this way.
No, it's filthy.
Anyway. Hi, welcome back. This is our special Halloween edition.
There. This is our nod to seasonal episodes.
Today we're going to talk about how do you come up with ideas. And spoiler alert, they're already inside of you.
The end.
Yeah. Ideas are everywhere. And we always say write what you know, but there's so many ideas which are right in front of you that you don't even realize are ideas until hindsight. So an example is after you had cancer, you're like, oh, this would be a good movie.
Yeah, it kind of. So I had breast cancer in 2008, and it's good. We're all good. Thanks for asking. But a while ago, before that, I had written this script that was like about a dysfunctional family, and it wasn't very good. So I decided to revisit the not very good and try and make it better. And it was okay. It was a little better because I'd grown as a writer, but Doug, my husband, read it and he said, you have to, it was very much based on our family. And we're funny, we're hilarious and twisted and weird. And I started like drawing from my own family with that. And he said, you have to put in the breast cancer. It's just too light. There's no like thing.
Right, because you had a broken leg originally.
Yeah. That thing wasn't there that made it personal, that kicked it over for us, that just next leveled it. And so when I added the breast cancer to the already very much like personal story about a family, then that's what gave it conflict and what gave it oomph and kind of just solidified it.
So basically,
And that's Quality Problems, by the way,
Yeah.
which you can get
on Amazon.
On Amazon.
Watch it today.
Yeah.
So you all have stories. I have a student right now who's writing about her grandmother who worked on the atom bomb. Everyone has stories, and your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your cousins, your best friends, your neighbors, that are individual to them and individual to you, and that's where you start, okay? There are lots of love stories, there are lots of war stories, but stories that are personal to you are really gonna stand out. When I did Sister Cities, which kind of put me on the map, it was a very personal story, and I never had sisters, and it's about 4 estranged sisters who reunite for their mom's alleged suicide, but it came to me because my grandma had Alzheimer's, and my mom was so upset watching her slowly fade away that she kept saying, if I get Alzheimer's, I need you to kill me. And I was, 19, 20 years old, and I was like, okay, Mom, I will. And subsequently, every time I visited her, she would say, so you're going to kill me if I get Alzheimer's? And I said, yes, Mother, I will kill you if you get Alzheimer's. And then I'm in a theater company, and I want to write a play, and my best friend, who was a famous actress, Jill Gascoigne, was kind of retiring, and she said, darling, I don't want to act again unless I play a corpse. So I had a story about a mother who asks her daughter to kill her, and a corpse. And thus Sister Cities was born. So you can take an idea here, and kind of mash it up together, but that's where ideas come from, and they're not gonna come from sitting at your computer. They're gonna come, we get our best ideas together when we're out on a bike ride. People get them when they're traveling on a plane. They happen at the most random places, so the best thing to do is have a notebook with you, or have your phone with you and talk into it. You wrote Shelter in Place as kind of a idea what you wanted, like manifested.
So, there's a script I wrote called Shelter in Place.
It's so good.
It's so good. Available for purchase by some giant producer that's probably watching. Anyway, it's because I am obsessed with New Zealand. And ever since Sandy Hook and school shootings, and then the shit show that is our current political climate, I fantasize about getting the whole family to New Zealand, like just mosquito coasting it.
Plus Colette.
Plus Colette, part of the family, obviously. So, stop. Sorry. Instead of hijacking the whole family to New Zealand against all my husband's best judgment and my kids hating me and everything, I decided to write a script about a woman that goes through a similar thing, so I could kind of live out this fantasy. And it turned out pretty good for them. So any day now, those visas will come through. And no, so that's just another example of, if there's something like that you always fantasized about, write a story. And
Like Serial Killer Barbie.
like Serial Killer Barbie.
Okay, so Brooke wrote Shelter in Place as a fantasy of wanting to move to New Zealand. When I wrote my first musical, Serial Killer Barbie, it was a similar, albeit different kind of fantasy. When I was in middle school, I had a very strong desire to murder all of the popular girls. I had this fantasy that they would all get on a bus and the bus would go over a cliff and they would die. So I wasn't going to actualize that. I'm not a serial killer. I'm not a psychopath. I'm not a sociopath. But 20 years later, when I was coming up with an idea for a musical, I thought, what would happen if all of the popular girls die and the character based on me kills them in an innovative new way? So that's where Serial Killer Barbie comes. If you can't join them, kill them. So ideas are everywhere, whether they're in, right in your pocket or from some angst you suffered in middle school.
So, write what you know, write things you're fantasizing about, but sometimes something's gonna come out of left field. My son came to me at 12 years old, and he's like, my kids have this macabre kind of sense of humor, plus they like horror, but he was still too young for like really scary. But what they were putting out there for his age at the time, which was 10 or 11?
Yeah, it was like Lemmy Snicket.
Yeah, it was too light for him. He's like, this is pandery, and they're very mature, my kids. Anyway, he said, can you write something that's kind of scary, but not too scary for like my age, but not like what's out there, because there wasn't a lot out there. So,
and we wanted the stuff that we grew up on, and like Stand By Me and Goonies, things that were scary but had heart and were character driven. So we talked about what we wanted to do, and again, when we pitched The Last Bookstore, which you should buy on Amazon or make our movie. It's
a book and a script. There's so much. It's going to be huge one day. So you're hearing it here first.
But it's based on the fact that, what would happen if Max, who walked around like glued to his phone, didn't have a phone anymore?
That's Miles Underwater.
No, it's not. It's Last Bookstore. He was so obsessed with electronics, and you're like, what if there's an EMP? And there were no more electronics. That was part of it too. It started with him wanting it, but then we did the EMP because we had both read One Day After and became obsessed with it, or 1 second after.
Yeah.
But then it was like, what happens if all these teenagers aren't on their phones anymore and have to communicate? And then it became of using your own will to survive in your family. We have crossover in our stories.
Yeah. So it was that, plus bringing back the spirit of Goonies and Stand By Me, which took out electronics. Like, it's changed childhood for these generations.
Yeah.
So we took it back to that, and it's amazing, and it's going to be huge one day. And we're going to be so huge that we'll barely have time for these podcasts.
But we're still going to do Midlife Mutiny.
Yes.
We love you guys and our followers. So do us a favor and write in the comments where you get your best ideas, because we want to learn. We may be like, wait, making cakes gives you good ideas, or what else? I don't know. I don't make cakes, so
it's weird. Sometimes ideas will come from weird places, and sometimes, like we talked about last week, when you're not a dick, you get hired to write stuff that is to spec. Like, someone will say, these are the characters, this is the situation. That, you don't go outside the lines, but within that, you still have a voice. Like, let's say you've been given this, 30-year-old middle-aged architect, and she has to go on this adventure. Well, within that, you can say, how would I respond to this situation?
I would send her to New Orleans because I've always wanted to just go from food to food to food place there. So then I'm combining what we're given with my fantasy, and then I would have to go to New Orleans to do research. So,
So there's that. And
Yeah.
I would say, how would she talk in certain situations? Not make it like me, but make it put my spin on stuff. So you're even within stuff that is very much an assignment or a gig for hire, your voice still works its way in there. So
there's freedom and flexibility within the structure.
yeah,
I'm Colette,
I'm Brooke.
and this is Midlife Mutiny.
And our pumpkin scare.
Happy Halloween.